Recently, I have started keeping my mouth shut about the things that I shouldn't say. Useless comments that display my opinion and weigh nothing, which also leads me nowhere. I think about what I would say and think of a scenario that would occur based on the words I say, and they don't usually sound fun. Recently, I think I have changed. Apparently, I seem different, more mature. But why? Nothing special has happened. I'm not sad, not particularly happy at the moment, so then why the special change? Well, that's because I've recently hurt someone with my words. The words that I say in the meeting sometimes don't align, just as how some people aren't the same person they are at different times, when they're with family versus when they're with friends. Or what I want to convey is not what I end up conveying, and in each of those situations, I find myself quiet, more quiet than everyone else, and too focused thinking about what might happen if I said something rather than something else. Or I get lost and can no longer find the words to properly indicate my feelings with sound waves, or so people usually recognize as tones, or with words on an electronic document. Figures of speech that show one thing in usual regard to another but can always be interpreted as another. It's just too confusing. Or in other words, vibrant words that are methodically compacted into a sentence that ultimately mean nothing. This is the exact problem I have. Then what happens when you are too frank? Honesty goes a long way, but it's not what people want to hear sometimes. My brother once told me that the truth hurts, but it's not like we conceive the truth in order to injure ourselves. It's there to help us understand what we need, or it might just be what someone else wants to say. I've heard teachers tell me, and in the past, other students, watch what you say or else they'll come back and bite you. And just like always, they expect us to understand what they're saying. This is an example of figurative language and creative amalgamations of textual characters that can be interpreted into things we call words and or words that are not these words, a combination of some words that don't mean exactly what they say. And recently, other people have also been hurting each other with their words, on social media or in person. There are numerous people out in the world that say things they don't mean or don't understand the weight behind their unique blend of individuality that also seems to be a manifestation of their special identity. Other times, people just use swear words or words that society has branded as obscene and inappropriate in every other sentence. But what is the problem with speaking in a way that is normal to you? Words can hurt if you let them, but isn't that how it's supposed to be? In other words, if someone said punch, why would that not hurt as much as someone physically beating you? Getting directly uppercut to the jaw would definitely hurt a lot more than someone just saying uppercut, and nothing happens. Except for a real strike to the face, right after the initial contact, you're inflicted real, physical pain. Your jaw hurts, maybe you faint, or somehow even your nose starts bleeding. From the initial hit to a flash of pain that leaves you dazed. And that's because one is quite literal, and the other is rather figurative. But what if they said you're adopted, or you're grounded, or maybe we're breaking up? These words do hurt when you hear them, and they simply inflict a different kind of pain, a withering and sort of soul-sucking pain, or a tightness in your chest with thousands of razor blades cutting all that's inside of you. The fight is taken out of you, and you begin to feel like the wind should probably take you away by now. And in regard to this, I have found that keeping my mouth shut is the easiest way to prevent someone from being injured in this figurative way. I, as well as many other people, have experienced or have inflicted this figurative injury, purposefully and sometimes incidentally. But recently, the time where this figurative injury had been inflicted upon another human being with a connection to me has greatly impacted the way I act. Though not severe, my limbs remain intact. There were no attacks in my chest, nor did I break any bones. But my mind wanders to a special place every time I think about this incident. It began as a small argument, and then it developed into an 8 on the Richter scale between me and my longtime friend of at least 5 years. What was this argument about? Of course, it was something so silly I still think it's funny. Who would win in a fight, King Kong or Godzilla? And in my mind, I thought it was a ridiculous question. Godzilla, without a doubt. And all of a sudden, the victor in this hypothetical situation became more important than about the initial argument. What was supposed to be humorous turned out bitter for no reason. Godzilla would win. It can literally shoot a hyper beam. What are you talking about? King Kong can jump over Godzilla and dodge that stupid hyper beam. Then Godzilla would be in the water. Then what? Then he would swim or not let him get into the water. At first, it really was funny, but then we began insulting each other, which was the real cause that we ended up having such a bitter argument. From highlighting the strong points of our fictional character, we began criticizing the other because they started it. But it's far too late. Feelings have been hurt and things turn from fun to not so fun. Like when you find out the person you thought to have become the woman of your dreams has actually turned out to be the woman of your brother, or something like that. It was funny and happy before, but now it's not. In this case, that may be a little exaggerated, but that's the exact effect that our words have on other people, and it is for those very reasons that I have been quiet lately. I am not injured, as I said before. My limbs are intact, nothing is broken, nor am I at the ER for an unfortunate turn of events. But I can only think back to that argument and think, wow, I am so stupid. And as a result, I have hurt someone's feelings and in return had my feelings hurt because of a simple argument. Instead of communicating my ideas and reasons for believing in one thing, I began to criticize the person, and that took me nowhere but down. Such a ridiculous event may seem less serious, but it really has changed the way I think now. Maybe this was something that I was supposed to pick up as a child and never did, but I've been keeping my mouth shut recently, and it's been working, refusing to say the things that I feel like saying and only saying the things that need to be said. So the real question is, who would win in a fight, King Kong or Godzilla? And the answer would still be up for debate, for friendly debate. It's just the difference between the words that you say and the hidden meanings that they hold. Thinking before you speak is so effective, but way too simple to do every time you say anything. So instead, I just keep my mouth shut. Not because I'm sad, not because I'm mad, and definitely not because I'm happy, because I don't want to hurt anyone. Of course, I'm not scared of saying something, but try thinking about this. Do you need to say it? Would it kill you or someone else if you kept it to yourself? Hopefully not, and it's like that often, whether it be in a simple conversation or the final dialogue of the villain before the fight dies out. It's just important to understand what you're saying before you say it, and the fact that some things don't need to be said is what stands out to me. And for now, I'll make sure I understand my words and any of the second meanings that they might hold.